So I just wanted to welcome everyone here tonight for the Menopause Unfiltered conversation. And I just wanted to say how lovely it is to be part of the Menopause Month. Because to me, it's a really important month. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even imagined. I didn't even know there was a Menopause Month. There might have been a Menopause Month, but I wasn't aware of it. But I am now, and I'm part of that moving generation who is hoping to make changes. And because of Menopause Month, it means that we become more aware of what is happening to us during menopause. We also learn, we've got the tools and resources and just finding out. So I always think of it as being part of my role is to help disseminate that information out to all women and men if they want to know more about what is happening through menopause. Now, I say menopause is menopause month, but it's really about perimenopause and menopause. So I just wanted to say today I'm welcoming Carmel Barton. We were having a little bit of trouble with the technology, so if she comes out, she'll pop back in again. And the lovely Katrina Gow are joining me. And I will introduce them a little bit further on. But just in case you don't know who I am, I'm Linda Legras. I'm hosting tonight, and it is just simply going to be a conversation about menopause unfiltered. So there will be some scientific information, but there'll also just be our stories and is sharing those stories with everyone because I like to think we're all different and our menopause or perimenopause journey is different. What we've been told is different. And there's just embracing those differences and going, it's certainly okay. We might have one symptom, we might have 100 symptoms because there are possibly 100 symptoms that come with the perimenopause menopause period. So I'm going to start first with, I think I might just introduce you, Carmel, because while we've got you,
Yes,
let's start there. So
great. Thanks,
bear with
Linda.
me because I'm just going to read to you a little bit of a biography on Carmel. So Carmel has inner peace wellness coaching. And I just have to say, we are both, and this is where we met, through her Cancer. She's an accredited health and wellness coach through her Cancer and a devoted meditation teacher. Carmel's expertise is finely tuned to cater to the needs of people, and I can vouch for that, who are yearning to diminish the burdens of stress and anxiety and instead cultivate a profound sense of peace and contentment in their lives. These people seek respite from the relentless pace of daily life, craving the opportunity to learn the art of relaxation and carve out precious moments of tranquility amidst their bustling schedules. And at the heart of their mission, I say her, part of Carmel's mission is a commitment to providing evidence-based tools and unwavering support systems that empower people to navigate the complexity of stress and anxiety, which you often feel through menopause, while nurturing a deep-seated sense of inner peace and contentment. I just feel like peace when I'm listening to it. Her approach is rooted in authenticity, compassion, and a genuine dedication to tailoring her offerings to meet the unique needs of each individual. So, Carmel, welcome.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Linda.
Oh, you're so welcome. As I've said, I personally know you. We only met, would it be only just over a year ago we met at the Health and Wellness Coaching?
I think it's two because we
Two.
finished the course around August, September last year, and
Yes.
then we started the year prior. So yeah, it's about 2 years we've known
Yeah.
each other.
Gosh, time flies, doesn't it?
Um,
So, Carmel, let's
yeah.
start with your story about menopause. I know that you didn't have a lot of symptoms, but there was some recognition during that time. So I'd love to hear what it was for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Linda. My story I'm now 58 years old, or young, I like to say. And my symptoms started when I was around about, I would say 53. So, again, like we were chatting earlier prior to this coming live, we were never really educated. There's not a lot of talk about menopause growing up. I really didn't know much about it. I mean, my mother certainly didn't talk about it at all. It was almost to me, I thought it was a bit of a hush hush thing that was not to be discussed. So I pretty much went into it blindly. I started getting a few hot flashes. I got a bit moody. I did notice some weight gain, and just generally feeling a little bit flat. And my remedy for that was to have an extra glass of wine in the evening, which was obviously not conducive to me feeling better. At the time, it was for about 40 minutes, and then after that, I'd crash. So they were my main ones. And then I just felt like the anxiety was just heightening. And I had previously done the meditation teaching, and I just thought this is not happening. So I just looked at my own lifestyle and took a few things out, removed alcohol from my life, which overnight just made an incredible difference. My anxiety level dropped from, at the time, out of 0 to 10, my anxiety would have been around 9.5 daily. If I'd had a few too many wines in the evening, I like to call it the hangxiety the next day was through the roof, plus, 10 plus. So that was the instant thing for me, the stopping of the alcohol, which has now been just around about 3 years. And my anxiety now is so much better.
Well done.
Hot flashes. And then I started getting into, because I'd studied naturopathy, I started looking at natural remedies, and then learnt more about the progesterone, how that drops, and the estrogen, and really taught myself more about, for me, I got some natural remedies because of progesterone. Obviously, that's a calming hormone, and just got onto some natural creams. So I did it all naturally, and I just feel with hindsight now it did have an effect, and it really helped me get back into that, and my anxiety went down to about 2 out of 10. I haven't looked at my diet and things like that. And that's what I do with my clients now, using my own experience with the breath work, meditation. Exercise was a big one for me as well. And obviously the weight bearing exercise, which is what you're doing, Linda, is amazing. And with your clients, and just being really kind to myself, and self-care, lots of baths. And so it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Well, you've ticked off many, many different things there, in the sense of the things that you were doing to help you through that. So there's some recognition about the hot flushes, and then using alcohol. And Katrina and I can vouch for this, because we were just talking about it recently as we went out for a drink, is that I too, but I just realized late in this, because I'm now 9 years in, so I'm 59, I'm 9 years into menopause. And I just realized, and I can reflect back now, the thinking that, if I hadn't have been drinking, would
Yeah.
the hot flushes and the interrupted sleep be as affected? Because I've noticed that since I have ceased drinking, I'm not 100%, but close to, I'm really much more mindful about drinking, and often going out and having my no alcohol drinks while all my girlfriends are, still having theirs, which I don't have any problem with either way. It's just, it was a personal choice for me, because I just didn't think it was serving me. So I'm really glad that you raised that, because I do reflect and think, could those hot flushes, those night sweats, and the sleep in particular, and the anxiety have been not just menopause, because I still believe it's menopause, because there's plenty of women who are not drinking and suffer these symptoms, but would I have had them as bad? Would have been my question. And it's really interesting that you point out you went through it naturally, because I've gone through it naturally as well. But if I'd known what I knew today, I think I would have gone on to MHT. And this is where I'm going to do a little lead in to Katrina, because she's got a story about that. So, Katrina, I'm just going to grab your notes out. The lovely Katrina Gowes, actually, and I have to admit, is one of our clients. I do not train Katrina. She's with, not because I'm not worth it. I just can't, no. It's, I can't do Katrina because she's too much of a friend, and we talk too much. But it's not really that. She really likes training with my husband and Estelle. But Katrina is a dedicated parent and a qualified counsellor and physiotherapist. Oh, sorry, psychotherapist, with a passion for supporting families through challenging times. So you may wonder why Katrina is here, but it's the psychotherapy that she works magic with me and helping me with my family, and through all the changes that happened to us, that she's here today. With a diverse background that includes qualifications in nursing, occupational health, and shiatsu massage, Katrina brings a unique and holistic approach to her work. Her true calling lies in providing invaluable assistance to parents and caregivers who find themselves navigating the complex world of childhood anxiety and stress, particularly in the cases of school refusal or school can't. Her deep understanding of the emotional and psychological intricacies involved and her exceptional empathy, which I agree with, make her a trusted partner for those seeking guidance and solutions in sensitive areas. Now, when I first met Katrina, she said she was a work, what was it? Describes herself as an evolving work in progress.
Mm.
And because we've known each other quite a few years now, you've watched me evolve, I've watched you evolve, and we have been great sources of comfort to each other and knowledge of sharing. And so Katrina's story is very relevant tonight, talking about perimenopause and menopause. So, Katrina, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, so I guess I was kind of thinking about where I start, but maybe I'll take it right back and talk about the context in which I found myself that maybe led me to not really understand what was going on or do what I ended up doing. So for me, after I had my third child, I had a Mirena IUD put in. So I didn't have any periods essentially. So there was nothing that marked the end of my period sort of time for me to notice. The second thing that sort of I didn't have was, what was I going to say? There was no sort of, I can't even remember what I was going to say. So there you go. There's that symptom. Um, I've got a sort of slight sort of high risk breast cancer thing so going on. So back 10 years ago, it was a no-no. If you were at risk of breast cancer, HRT was just, or MHT that now it's called, was just not an option. So I just kind of put it in the I don't even think about basket. And also, I'm also 58. So my mum, no one talked about it when I was growing up. And she had a hysterectomy in her late 40s. So it's just this kind of nebulous thing that, just never really landed anywhere. So for me, but then I know when that last Mirena came out and I was probably in my early 50s, I did start having hot flushes and not sweat so much, but the covers on off type thing. And feeling anxious, stressed. I had joint pain, poor sleep. They were kind of the main ones, not very amorous, that whole just tired all the time. And so when I went also at the same time, just to bring in what was going on at the same time, I had to have major surgery in 2018. I had a benign brain tumor. So that was a really big stressful event. Took a while to recover from that. And of course, you're tired, you're not sleeping well, you've got pain. There's a whole lot of things going around that. At the same time, we go into COVID. My elderly father died, had kids at school, like the whole stress around the time also just made it really hard to discern what was what. And so when I went to my GP, so my joints got really, really sore and I got really, really tired. But the conversation about menopause never came into the room. It was, I'll send you to a rheumatologist. So I went to a rheumatologist and I checked your eye and we fixed that up and check your B12 and fix that up. And my sleep thing was still bad. Go and see a sleep specialist. All of my symptoms got navigated into a specialist kind of tiny little niche thing. And so it's not until like literally in the last week and speaking to friends and all my friends are sort of going on it or they're on it and talking about how much better they feel. And whilst I don't feel bad, but I still feel my sleep's still bad. I still feel a bit stressed all the time, which I can account for. I can probably put it in all sorts of baskets. But what I wonder is, what is the level of impact the estrogen, the absence of those hormones is having on the weighting of my symptoms? So I've literally today picked up a prescription for Bijuva, which is just a tablet that I take each day, and we can have a conversation about the whole what's available, what's not available, what it costs, and all the rest of it down the track. And I'll start that tomorrow because whilst I'm not expecting miracles, but I would like to know if after 3 months of trialing it, do I feel, are the edges a bit softer? You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. So watch this space.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It is, Carmel, isn't it? I just think when Katrina mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago, she goes, "What do you think?" And so, of course, I gave her my story. And it was like, if I knew what I knew now, I think I'd
Yeah.
give it a go. Because I had many symptoms, and I've actually got a sheet here with over 100 different types of things. I know there's a common 16, and then there's a common 30 and a common 50, but there are so many different symptoms. And what you've covered off between even just the two of you are many of them, and some other things are like bleeding gums, bad breath, body odor. I had a weird body odor for a very short period of time. That's changed. Even my husband noticed it too. Bruising, burning scalp, the dizziness, dry eyes, which we haven't mentioned here, of course, the dry vagina. That's me. I'm going to just, this is an unfiltered conversation today. Frozen shoulder, another thing, frequent urination, heart palpitations. I'm just going through this really quickly.
Yeah.
Itchy ears, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Yes, I even had that, and then it resettled down again. Slower metabolism. I'm just going to say this wrong. Tinnitus with the ear ringing, yes,
In your ears, yeah.
yes.
Mm.
Weight gain, yes, that's one of them. I actually heard someone the other day, and she was a very slim woman. She was very educated and everything, but she said, "Oh no, we don't have to put on weight." I know we don't have to put on weight, but we do. And there's a very good cause for that because the estrogen goes away, and that's one of the things that controls our weight gain. So I don't think, I always say I don't think it's our fault. There's so many things, there's so many factors that play into it. And like you said, you're looking at these things, Katrina, and they're looking at it in the pockets. So to help you with this sleep and to help you with all these different things, where maybe, just maybe, there's never, as we say, we're all different. There is an overall arching reason for this that we could hopefully address.
And I think one of the other things just there was that also led me to this was I had a bone scan this year, and I've got osteopenia. So I'm, and I exercise. I have plenty of calcium, dairy in my diet. All of those things are there, and still, I'm well
So
underpaid.
while we're just talking about that, just because it's fresh, and actually Katrina and I were talking about this, and I said I'm going to mention it as well because it just so happens one of my other girlfriends has been diagnosed with osteopenia. And of course, what comes across my desk that Peter Atita is talking to a woman, I forget her name, Linda, someone in the Gold Coast, who is an exercise physiologist and expert in this area of bone strength. And it really absolutely sucks that as we go through menopause and our estrogen and progesterone drop, but particularly the estrogen drops, so does our muscle tone and quality, and as our bone strength. And there is quite a long period of time between 5 and 8 years where that can decline. It will decline if we're not on to MHT. I'm not even sure that that's the only solution. However, it not all is lost because it is something that we can do for ourselves. So there's nutrition, there is medication, there is exercise. And exercise in her research has shown how important that weight resistance and weight bearing exercise is for our bones. But it really sucks that this occurs to us as we go through menopause. And this is the stuff that I didn't know before, which makes me a little bit uncomfortable because, yes, I've gone through and I feel like I'm the other side. I don't have as much of the issues. I still have night sweats and probably a little bit of anxiety, but is that, just my busy life? That if I'd known, I just wonder if I'm at a disadvantage. And that's going to always be my question now. Am I at a disadvantage for, bone loss, muscle loss, dementia, whatever else? So it just really is quite a question that, it's interesting. Katrina, thank you so much for sharing your story, and Carmel, because those stories are very different, the same but different, isn't it? We all have had something that goes through. We all have something, we have other things happening in our lives at the time, which we can put down to part of the symptoms that we're getting. So I don't remember particularly perimenopause because that's when my husband was sick and passed away. And then, of course, I met the lovely JC. I was on the mini pill, went off the milli pill, and bang, everything hit me. So yes, our stories are different, but this is what this conversation is all about. So I'm going to ask you now just a couple of other little questions just on this subject. So And you both covered it off a little bit. So maybe, Carmel, you've already covered it, but Katrina, you're in a little bit of a different spot. But did you know, I think you actually might have mentioned it because your mum said, but you know, how much you knew about perimenopause and menopause. And then, you know, you have a daughter. Carmel, I'm not sure. Do you have a daughter too?
I have two.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have two daughters. Okay. So this is a question for both of you. What, you know, you've got a daughter, so how would you hope that this to be different for them? What are
Do you
we
want
going to do? I know
me
what I'm doing for my daughter, and it's bombarding and educating, but
do you want me to
yes,
go?
yeah, Katrina, please start. Yeah.
Well, what I hope, well, my bit of it will be, and have been doing, is to just mention it and talk about the symptoms. And, you know, at least she's been able to say, you know, she's at the other end, but both ends suck a little bit from that perspective, right? Like it's, you know, it's annoying. You feel like you haven't got control over how you feel.
Mm.
So we have those conversations. I hope that by the time she gets to my end, that it will be common discussion in the GP surgery for women, you know, at least in their 40s. If you're over 40 and you come in with, I'm tired, I don't feel right, I'm flat, I'm, you know, all of these sort of general symptoms, that menopause comes into the conversation so that it's kind of gets thrown into the mix automatically.
Yes.
I think that happens. I hope that workplaces will be flexible in respect to, you know, perhaps, you know, allowing people more time to get work done, you know, because your brain's not working as it should be, or as sharply as you would like to be able to do. Or, you know, that there's good ventilation, that you know, if you're having a hot flush, it's not a big thing. You don't have to, you know, fall apart in front of other people. So, you know, little things like that happen. And I hope that there are options, medication options available on the pharmaceutical benefit scheme,
New
because
Zealand have got an estrogen that that's just been approved.
yeah,
Mm.
well, I think there's a patch you can get.
Mm.
But there's, you know, I think the assumption that, well, it's not an assumption, it's just a lack of thought that you know, one option for women, like what, we're all the same. We've just in this little conversation, all three of us have had different
Yes.
experiences. So to not even provide, or they should at least provide two options that are under the PBS for people to have, because everything else ends up being a private script. And a private script, like I picked up mine today, and 1 month is $60.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, that's 1 month.
$720 a year.
Yeah, times how many
Oh,
years do
yes.
you go on
How
it?
many years? Mm.
And at the other end, you know, the pill for my daughter, $100 a month.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know it was that expensive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So there'll be different types, but it's, you know,
Yes.
we're getting hit at both ends. And I think,
Yes.
you know, it does impact on your capacity and so many things. When you don't feel good on the inside, it
Yeah.
affects the outside.
And imagine how many girls can afford $100 a month.
Well, again, you know, I think you're hitting people that are stuck in a low socioeconomic bracket as
Yes.
well, because, you know, they just get hammered again. What do? You just go, oh, well, I can't afford to have hormone replacement therapy. I'll just stay in this
Yes.
state that's really unsatisfactory and not helping me or my.
And in the long term, because as we know, some of us only have a few symptoms, some have, you know, the medium in between somewhere, and then you've got that other 20% who have severe symptoms that they may have to leave their
Yeah,
workplace.
imagine that.
That they
Someone, you know,
have got greater bills, that then they don't have the capacity to pay for their mortgage or their rent or what they need for their health and well-being. Yeah. You've brought up a fabulous point there, Katrina, because
Mm.
I didn't realize it was so expensive
Mm.
to do that. And that's why, like New Zealand, I know have made a movement, and there is definitely people here in Australia who are holding up the banner for us and doing that hard work, which is fabulous. So let's
yeah,
hope
I
that
believe there was
that's
a
a future.
there was a Senate inquiry late
Yes.
2023. So I think there are wheels in motion, but, you know, it just
Mm.
takes time.
Yeah. Another one of my clients, Dr. Sarah Whitburns, was at that. Yeah. Yeah, she gave a talk with me at the Jean Hales Women's Health Week. She was brilliant. And she did part of the introduction of her presentation to the Senate to us. And I was like, wow. She was like, she's fighting for us. It's brilliant. Carmel, would you like to share? Tell us. I mean, when I do have a son, by the way, and he's just as informed too. It's a great.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think that's a big, I was just thinking that, Linda, it's just as important to empower our young men as well, isn't it, really, with what's happening? But from, my point of view, being a health and wellness coach, I'm big about controlling the controllables, the things that are in your control, looking in your back garden first, like your sleep, your nutrition, your exercise, which I'd love to hear more from you about if we get time to, your stress relief, looking at, do you have any outlets for creativity? I think creativity is a big thing, when you're in the moment and time just flies, and it's giving your mind and body a bit of relief. And if you have really bad symptoms, maybe that's a way of tapping into another part of you that you didn't know. And connections, a big one. Exactly what we're doing tonight. I think this is brilliant, and I've already learnt so much. Thank you. And empowering people with, connection is key. It really is. In this day and age, a lot of people are working from home. You might be at home starting the symptoms of menopause. Back in the day, at least you had, if we're all working in offices, for example, going in every day, you could share what's happening in, even though the education one wasn't out there as much, but at least you had that community feel. And I think connection, exactly what we're doing now, is just so important. So hats off to you, Linda, for creating this event.
My pleasure.
And then spreading the awareness, and then empowering my clients is a big one too, for them to do the research and talking about what their actual symptoms are and looking at different things. And the other night I attended an event, and I'm also educating myself about the hormones and different things. So there's a really good, I would recommend, and I'll give you the notes, Linda, to put in the show notes. Pippa Campbell, she's a functional hormone nutritionist. Highly recommend people follow her if you're interested, on Instagram. She also has a book on menopause. She does the Dutch test, which is the dry urine test.
Oh, yes.
She gets estrogen, the progesterone, because everyone's so different. Like, we're not cookie cutters.
What was her name? Because I do have the chat open. What was her name? And I'll just type
her name is Pippa, Pippa.
Yes.
In one word, Campbell, CAMPBELL _ health on Instagram.
_ Oh, I do put a little app at the front, don't I? Does that work? Don't know. Anyway, oh, then it went to all. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I've now put that in the chat.
Thanks.
Always love to hear more about what, who are you listening to, because you never know that, because everyone's got a slightly different approach to it. So there might be some common things that we all know. I'm assuming everyone knows here because you're here today and you've come through either at Carmel, myself, or Katrina. But that perimenopause is roughly 5 to 8 years before. Then menopause is the day 12 months after your last period, and then the next day is postmenopause.
Yeah. So menopause is actually one day.
Actually, one day. Yeah.
The other night. It's one day. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, it's important that we can share around, because there's so many different people coming up with some different ideas. And as we know, Carmel, as health and wellness coaches, it's our role to help you to come to a place where you make the decision about what you want. Yes, we can give you support, and if you were to ask us, we say, well, we might know these people, but you need to find the person that suits you to help you through this journey. That's really, really important. You need to have that connection. Yeah. So my next question to both of you is, how are we going for time? It's 7:30, so it's all good. Now, Carmel, you have touched on this, but probably because we've done the health and wellness coaching, because I have my top 5 pillars of health and wellbeing, I call them. So they are good nutrition. They are exercise, consistent exercise. And I'll say consistent because that's very important. Then there's sleeping well, as Katrina has touched on. There is managing our stress. And either of you can talk to this one, I'm sure. You'll be far more experts in this area than I am. And obviously, I say relationships and connections community. I wish there was 3 C's or something for that one, because yes, they are so important. And I was listening to, remember, Carmel, at Cancer conference that we were just at, there was James Haskell, I think his name was.
Yes,
And he
James.
wrote I'm going to check my phone, sorry, because I've just been listening to his, and you've touched on a point that's very, very relevant. The Community Cure, and it's James Maskell, Maskell, which talks about loneliness and how that impacts on our health. And there is nothing worse when you feel that you are not part of something, that you don't have someone to be able to go to, that there aren't people there to lift up your day when you're not feeling so great. It's really, really important. So would you like to start there, Carmel, about those?
Yeah, they're my main pillars, Linda. So sleep is that's my number one non-negotiable. I'm a real early bird. So because I do the health coaching, I have a normal full-time job in corporate, and then the health and wellness coaching is my what do they call them now? Side hustle.
Yeah.
Which
Passion,
is part of
love.
which is part of who I am and what I do anyway. It's just, who I am. But so I'm up at 5 a.m. every day. So it's my friends know, don't call Carmel after 8:30. She's getting ready for bed. I know it's terrible, but
That's good.
the power. And has anyone read the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, or listened to
No.
audiobooks? So yeah, I just slowly got my wake up time back. I had a goal probably about 2 years ago, and I just took it every few months, half an hour, set my alarm half an hour early. In fact, I'm starting a 7-day morning routine challenge on
Yes,
Sunday.
I do have that. I will put that into, actually, while you keep talking, I will put that into the.
Thanks. Yeah, so for me, sleep is just non-negotiable, and having a really good nighttime routine. It sort of starts the night before. I've already started now with my herbal tea, for example. It's things that I don't even think of that I'm doing by habit. I have my chamomile and lavender loose leaf tea, start sipping that straight after dinner, so I don't have the cravings, the sugar cravings, which just forever within my reach. But anyway, so yeah, pretty much good sleep. And then I find I get up in the morning, I go to Pilates. I'm currently doing the Couch to 5K, which is that great app, gets you just slowly 3 runs a week, incrementally increases your capacity for running. And I love that. And then just swim once a week. So I find the exercise part, if I've got like you said, Linda, consistency, I find that really helps. And the exercise really helps my mental health too, and anxiety. I just find that. So and then obviously build into my day, the meditation. In fact, I had a really busy day today, and before I came on to this session, I did a yoga nidra. Has anyone done any yoga nidra? No?
Yeah.
So
You know probably about it. Katrina's a real yogi as well.
Oh, Katrina, how do you like the yoga nidras?
Yeah, no, lovely. Yeah, we always do a shavasana with a yoga nidra. Yeah.
So good, isn't it? And research or evidence shows that has proven that 20 minutes is equivalent to roughly about 2 hours of sleep. So I did that before I came on tonight, and just really pepped me up. And then, as I touched on, I'm trying more and more to be creative. It's not really part of who I am, but going back on, I grew up in the country, going back to what I loved as a little girl. I used to love drawing and crochet and things like that. So I'm trying to becoming more of an empty nester, in the evening, have a bit more time. So I'm trying to do a bit more of creative things, which I really do think holistically is helping as well. And then connection. I have a non-negotiable Friday night. Regardless, I'm catching up with one friend. I'm being proactive and just saying, okay, we're going to do this. Come over for dinner. We'll go out, go and see a show or something like that. So That's pretty much how I manage it. And it's, yeah, I feel so much better.
Mm. Yeah. Now, can I ask you the question, because all those things that you've talked about are spot on with me. They're the things I talk about too, and I might do them a little differently to you. I probably need to get a little bit more into my mindfulness. I just haven't found a space there. But um, were you doing this prior? Like, were you like this in your 30s and 40s? Oh, we might have lost.
Not at all.
No. No.
No. You there? Can you see me?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're still there. Yeah.
No, just too busy working with the children. No, it wasn't really until the hot flashes started and the weight gain, and the anxiety, I just thought I really have to do anything, do something about it. And then started obviously studying the naturopathy and the health
Yeah.
coaching, and really refreshed my diet, pretty much all gluten-free, lots
Mhm.
of green veggies, lots of water, and
Yes.
yeah, just go from there.
Mm. Yeah, because I can ticking off many of those things too. And I, like you, I was exercising, but and I thought I ate really healthy, but I realized that perhaps I wasn't a lot. Not that I and even I always had to I always struggled with weight too. So it was something that I was always constantly on, but I really didn't know much about food. I just said eat less, eat more vegetables, eat more salad. But that didn't satisfy me. I wasn't educated about good nutrition.
Mm.
It's very different now. Katrina,
Mm.
what's your lifestyle?
Yeah, look, similar but different, I guess.
Mm,
I guess my particular area of interest, and I guess the thing that kind of drives a lot of things for me is how stressed am I? How stressed do I feel? Which informs me of my capacity. And it also informs me of um, expectations I place on myself. So I very easily can put, or you should do da 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 da, da or things like that. I can be very like that, but that doesn't serve me all the time
mm,
because there are other things going. I've got an elderly mum. I've got still got people at home. There's other things that change or impact on that. And so it's important for me personally to be quite flexible and loose with that. And if I don't do 3 yoga classes, or if I don't get to the training session because I'm too tired, that's okay. Tomorrow's day one, we just start again. So
like
that's
it.
kind of my, because I know from having done the other way that did not work for me and it didn't work for the people around me either. So having that flexibility with myself so that I can titrate according to the day, the week, the month, whatever's going on without going into a backward, a reverse spiral. I want to keep moving forward. So I want to be out, I don't want to let one slip take me down.
Mm.
It's a slip. I just kind of keep going. Tomorrow I'll refresh and we'll just have a crack at it tomorrow.
I love your saying, tomorrow is day one.
Yeah, it's always day
Yeah.
one
It's
until it
always
becomes
day
day
one.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, we can muck up, but we can go back
Yeah.
and
You
there's another
reflect on it,
one
you
I
think
like.
about it. Yeah. You make some
Progress
adjustments.
over perfection is another one that we
Always.
use.
Always. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's just you're touching on that. Makes me feel a little bit better about myself because often I'm slipping and not doing exactly what I want to do. The personal trainer who doesn't always get her own exercise in, though, lucky for me, I'm moving all day. And that is something, and I'm picking up heavy weights all day and I'm stretching all day because I don't know if you noticed, Katrina, but sometimes the client's doing their stretches, so I'm doing mine with them. Or I go, oh, I'll show you how to do that kettlebell walk because I walk the whole way down and then put it down for them. There's a little bit of exercise in for me. There's tricks to
Incidental.
the trade. But it's
Yeah.
really interesting because there are many things too, because nutrition for me was something that I really thought I knew about but didn't know about. And so now I know a lot more about food. As I did the reason why I even became a health and wellness coach, or that I even got to this point, is because I started recognizing during my menopause and doing the deep diving that there was, I think I did a series called Women's 35 Plus program just with the 6 women in my studio. And it was there that I recognized nutrition. And my husband is a big feeder into that. He was the one that introduced me to organic foods. And then, of course, I got a son on the autism spectrum. So we found out food was very impactful, and his gut was probably not that I knew a lot about the gut back then, but I look back now and go, yeah, the gut was feeding into his moods and behavior. And then, of course, exercise has been something that's been quite easy for me in a sense, because I thought I wasn't much of an exercise person, but I've done exercise all my life. I played basketball, I did calisthenics, I did lots of different things. And I was doing triathlons before the kids were born, but I wasn't doing the weight bearing exercise. It's more stuff for fun, which is all good. I still do that too. I don't do the triathlons anymore, but I still do the bike riding, the skiing, which are all fun, but they're not necessarily the things that keep me fit and strong. In fact, I did hear that whilst swimming is, if you love swimming, please keep swimming. Don't let this stop you. But swimming doesn't help our bone strength.
Mm.
We need to do, it's the weight bearing. And running is okay, but of course it's just pounding on your legs. It's not actually doing other parts of your body. So it's keep running again, like if that's something that gives you joy. But it's when it comes down to bone strength, it is resistance and weight work. The other thing I was going to mention was the sleep as well, because sleep was something that really, really bothered me. And I've mentioned this many times before, that I would go to bed, I'd read, I had my nighttime routine because I'm in bed by no later than 9:30 is my limit. And I'd be nodding off to sleep, going, oh, I'm so tired. I put my book down and wham, I'm awake.
Yeah.
Oh, it drove me insane. I still have the 3 o'clock wake up times, not as much as I used to.
I'll call you in the morning. Yeah.
Yes. So that's important. Stress, yes, that's something I talk about estrogen, losing estrogen, and we lost our cup of tea, and we don't have that anymore. And I actively try to take rest. So if I do get up early in the morning, like my 5 o'clock, because I do that 3 mornings a week, I'm often finding myself, Carmel, still waking up at 5 o'clock anyway. That's that rhythm that we've got to, and I'm tired by 9.
Circadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the types of rest I like to talk about. So I actively try and do that, and I will have a nana nap. I do like a nana nap if I need it, and it does refresh me. But even just to simply sit down and read a book or do something for me can be, or puzzles can be enough. But I would like to do yoga, but I like yoga in the morning, and I'm working in the morning, so I will get to that. I will get to that. But yeah, it's like that thing you were saying, Katrina, we don't quite get there. If we don't get there, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow is day
100%.
one.
Always tomorrow. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. And the other thing what I was going to talk about, oh, yes, the connections. I just think that is just really, really important on so many different levels. So, and one of the recent things that I'm doing is because we moved our studio to Montel, but they have a gardening group once a month. And I love the gardening group. It's so nice to be part of the community, where one of the few you know, traders in the street who join in. And, I'm starting to get the, hey, hey, Linda, here she comes with her little gumboots on. And, I usually take the broom. I'm a really good cleaner upper. Don't know so much about the digging the holes and everything, but I always do the cleanup at the end. So it's really lovely to be part of that. And that's just one of the, that doesn't cost anything. It's a lovely thing to be able to do.
Great idea.
Yeah, really enjoy it. Oh, so I just had a couple more questions, and we're going still good for time. Okay, just let me have a look here. Carmel, this is a really good one. We both do this, but I would love to hear what you do, because we love to share. This is what it's all about. We other women help other women to lift each other up, and we learn from each other all the time. I'd like to know what you do with coaches that are suffering menopause symptoms.
With the clients?
Yes, yeah. What are some of the steps that you take?
Pretty much going through their lifestyle, and asking them, like you alluded to earlier, Linda, about the client coming up with their own solution to their issues. So I allow them time to talk about what's currently happening in their life, and then dig down a little bit deeper about how they'd like to be feeling, because everyone has a different way what they perceive is their best flourishing self. So asking them how they'd like to feel, and then coming up, brainstorming with the client about things that they could action, and empowering them with the ideas for them to come up with the solutions to what they're wanting to change. And then what I'd like to do in the structure I'm sure you use as well, that we've learnt in the coaching, is about setting the goal, having a vision statement about how you'd like to ideally be when you're at your best, and which is quite a nice, refreshing exercise to do. Do a bit of a guided meditation about living their best life, incorporate that into the coaching. And it's really tapping into their imagination and working with their strengths as well, with what the client has. I get them to talk about their past, and really it does. I'm starting to get goosebumps. I had a client a few nights ago, and she was telling me about how she used to do triathlons, and I asked her about the feeling it evoked in her now talking about it. And she got quite animated, about remembering how she felt and how she got up early and she was so disciplined, and the spiral effect, I suppose, that had on the rest of her life. So it's really tapping into the strengths with the clients about what they've done previously, because we all get busy and you get on that treadmill of life and you forget about, oh gosh, that's right, I did do that. So she scurried off after the coaching session, and she wrote her own notes, obviously, about some goals. And we made it really simple and broke it down into daily goals. And I said, okay, well, if you want to achieve this, it wasn't obviously triathlons in her 60s, but well, she maybe could, but there are other things that she wanted to achieve, and more focused around her grandchildren and stuff like that. So it's really lovely to see. And then we have the follow-up sessions, obviously, and having a coach is providing that accountability. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I better do these action points because I'm going back to see Carmel in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So that's a very basic, broad overview, but the framework that seems to work.
Yes, yeah. And my framework's probably very similar to yours too, because I often, if there's something going on and, life can get very overwhelming at times, and we do a little meditation about your happy place, take back to a time where you were really, really happy, and, and then you can call on that when perhaps things aren't going to plan, because that's, what happens when we have elderly parents or kids still going through school. And like me, we've got exams, year 12 exams happening. So, what can we do to make our days a little bit easier? And you also mentioned something about, breaking it down. Yeah, setting the goals and then breaking them down. Sorry, did you say something? Sorry, Carmel, I missed that. Yeah, so just breaking
How are the year 12 exams?
Oh, they're going good. One had his first exam today. The other one's got their exams next week. So, yay, exciting. Exciting times ahead for them. A little bit daunting for me talking about empty nesting, because this is often a big thing that happens to us if you have children, or maybe even it's, the dogs and the cats aren't at home anymore. We just lost our cat this week too. So they're all important. They're part of the family. And these things happen, but yeah, looking for a happy place.
Yeah.
But yes, you touched on breaking it down. So, having those goals. So we can all do this, whether you have a coach or not, is trying to set some of those goals about, what is it that we'd like our life to look like? And then breaking it down into those 5 areas. Well, which one do you think at the moment needs more work than, say, another? So, for example, probably mine would be the stress, because it's something that I want to do, to have a good, I'm not that I'm stressed, but there's times where I am and I don't always have the tools to deal with that, because it's sometimes the explosion, though that's got better. But breaking it down and working out what it is in that area, because I think, Katrina, you said something too, sometimes there's something falling down in one part and it's lifting up in the other, but which one, it doesn't matter that we didn't get to all of them in the day, because sometimes some things are bigger than the others. Oh, and we talked about sleep. I think, Katrina, you mentioned about sleep, that when you're not sleeping well, it will affect.
Which is most nights, yes.
Yes.
So what I do is just not, I just, as Kamal talked about, control the controllables. The only controllable control is me. So I can get upset about it and get all worked up about the whole thing, or I can just, oh well, So what I tend to do is put a podcast on in my ears just to stop the thinking.
Mm.
Because that's the thing that I'll start hooking onto something, and I don't want to get too awake. So, and I just kind of tell myself, well, if you're lying horizontal, that's a tick, It's not like I'm up walking around the house with the lights on and watching TV. I'm lying down, I'm still resting, and I do go back to sleep. So, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I actually did that last night. I had heard somewhere, because sometimes I just try and push my way through it. But at 3:30, I went, I'm awake, lying around. At 4 o'clock, I went, right, because I'd sort of set myself a mental thing that if I'm still awake at 4 and I hit that phone, which I probably shouldn't, I'm just going to get up. And I did. I get up. I went, lay down on the couch. I actually had I don't know if this is a good idea, my crossword puzzle, because that often puts me to sleep. And yeah, the next thing I know, I was waking up at 6 o'clock with the dog barking. So there you go. It worked. I went back to sleep because I think if I'd stayed in bed, I would still be lying there waiting for it to happen.
Mm.
Since we've still got a few people here, if anyone would like to ask a question to Katrina or Carmel, please just put it into the chat. I will have a look. Dominique, I don't know if she's still here. She did just have a question or a note to put in there. Please be mindful about the dry urine test to be diagnosed. Blood tests are not always the way to diagnose UA in perimenopause, and that's absolutely right. And it is often a period in time as well. So I also have done the Dutch test, Carmel. JC put me onto it, but I did like it for one very good reason. It showed my cortisol levels going crazy. So
What
I
do you
wasn't
do for
even
that?
aware of
I've never
that.
heard of it.
It's just a 24-hour test, so it is a moment in time, but you test it several times throughout the day, and then you send it all in, and it gets diagnosed, the urine test, and then it measures things like cortisol, your hormones, all your hormones. There was a list it was very detailed. You need to go someone who knows what they're talking about to do it. But if nothing else, it raised to me that I was in menopause. And because my estrogen levels were really low and my progesterone levels, and also just watching that cortisol, because cortisol is obviously another hormone for us, and it is one of the ones that can be, once the cortisol is in a state of, this high distress, because, with the fight and flight, you girls would know all about that. I think you've explained it all to me too, Katrina. It was just one of those moments to go, oh, I need to watch that because it can affect so many other things, sleep, weight, other different things.
And it's inflammatory in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So really, really interesting. I'm just seeing if someone has asked a question. It's Audrey saying, have you heard of the 24-hour urine test, not a dry Dutch test that they use in the USA? Do they have this in Australia? I haven't. Have you, Carmel?
No, but I really recommend people check out Pippa Campbell, the functional hormone. She does the nutritionist. She does the Dutch test and a lot of other testing.
Yeah. So does Kirsty from Cultured Wellness.
Okay.
Yeah. When we first went and looked at it, sorry?
What's her name? Kirsty.
I think I'm saying Kirsty Worth, but she's Cultured Wellness, Kultq. So we'll just put that in there. Kirsty Cultured Wellness. They have a whole program too. They're fabulous. They've got nutritionists on hand, and they can do all the tests for you for multiple things. Obviously, you do the tests, and they can coordinate getting the results and what test they want for them.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yes, sorry, Audrey, we're drawing a bit of a blank on that one, but I will go and look it up now just to see.
Yes.
That's what I'm like. I get curious. Oh, let's check.
We're learning from each other.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Have you two got anything else you would like to share with us tonight? No? Carmel, I did put in there your 7. Now, I've just written the 7-day challenge, but it's more than that. Do you want to explain a little bit about what the 7-day challenge is?
Yes, thanks, Linda. As I touched on earlier, I'm not really good at the nighttime routine, but the morning routine for me has been something of a necessity. As I said, I've got the two businesses that I work in, and it was the only way really I could make enough time in the day. So I'm big on what they call the life hacks and just again learning and empowering myself with knowledge because knowledge is power. And I follow people like the Huberman Lab, Andrew Huberman. He's a research scientist. He's brilliant
I
and
follow him too.
he's very much, yeah, he's just great. I highly recommend him as well. So he's all about making scientific things more relatable and understandable for the everyday person. Another one that I really recommend is Liz Earle, MBE. She's based in the UK and she's also a researcher with women's health and wellness, and she has beauty tips and stuff like that. So in summary, our Nam Baldwin, I listen to him. He's a high performance coach, big on the breathing and being a meditation teacher. That's a particular interest. So the morning routine summary, Linda, it's a free challenge and encouraging people to join my community on the Facebook page, Inner Peace Wellness. And I've got a PowerPoint presentation and a workbook for the 7 days. It's a bit of fun, creating community like we're doing tonight, learning from each other. Some people are morning people, some are not. And I've just got a smoothie recipe for each day. Last night I stayed up and recorded a 10-minute meditation for each day. There's a topic for each day, and it might be something about learning about dopamine, or it might be learning about the power of the sun, getting 5 minutes sunlight in your natural sunlight in your eyes in the morning,
Yes,
and kicking in that circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just really a combination of my years of notes I've got in my office and learnings and stuff like that down into, and I'm really, really proud of how it's all come together.
Well, I'm joining you. So when does it actually start again? Did you say the date it starts?
It starts on Sunday, this coming Sunday. So that's the presentation.
Oh.
So it's just highlighting the benefits of a morning routine.
Okay, it's
so
not coming out
when
very
you
well.
sign
Sorry,
up,
it's a bit blurry.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it just
But you'll share that as
takes
part
you
of
through.
going to the Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then I've got to write, and we finish up yeah. And then the last day, on the Sunday, if those that want to join us, we're meeting at Point Ormond in Elwood to watch the sunrise, because ore is a big part of, what we're doing. And then having a coffee afterwards in the people in the
Do you
private
put your
group.
feet in the water as well as watching the sunrise? I did that recently on a women's weekend. It was beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's it really.
Oh, that's so lovely. So I put that into the chat. So if anybody would like to join Carmel, which will be me as well, this should be a good education for me. This is one of the areas that's out of my comfort zone. Exercise, come along with exercise me. And I'm very comfortable there.
Yeah. You can add your tips to the group, Linda.
Yeah. And the other thing I've just put in there is just a sleep well guide. Something that if anybody wants to have it, that's just free to download. You do have to put your email address in, but and you'll end up on my list, but you can always unsubscribe if that's not what you want. But you can download the sleep well guide, since sleep has been a topic for all of us to discuss, and it is one of the crucial, I'd say it's the top three. We get our sleep right, it helps us with our nutrition, it helps us with our exercise, and vice versa. It all those 5 pillars, they all support each other. So now, Katrina, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, thank you for organising this, because it really, when you asked me to do it, it just prompted me to get my head in it, because I have not really had my head in the game. So it's get my head in the game.
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that I got your head in the game. But I have got the number one thing from you today. Tomorrow's day one. I'm going to keep using it. I might have to put that in my little wall for a while. Every now and then I just need a little saying that sticks there that goes, yeah, that's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's day one.
Be kind to yourself.
Yes, be kind to yourself. But Ladies, I would very much like to thank you both for agreeing to join me in this. It wasn't not it's me. I always come up with these ideas and I go, oh yeah, and I'll just make it work. And you two were my top of mind straight away to join me in this because I value both of your friendships. I value the knowledge that you have, and I love that you also love to share because that's just so important, and you add a special element to my life. So thank you for joining. And
Oh,
everyone
thanks,
here
Linda.
for joining tonight. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being curious and wanting to know a little bit more and to bear with us while we just had a conversation about what it is to go through perimenopause and menopause. I did particularly like that Katrina, you mentioned about, what the hope is for the future for our young women who are going to go through this later in life, and they perhaps will be cruising through and living longer than us, maybe. But my wish is for all to be fitter, healthier, and happier. That's my absolute wish. So I'm looking forward to catching up with you girls again later. And if anyone has any more questions, please just, you can always send them to me on my email address, which you will have, or the girls will have, pass it on. Or if you've got a question for Katrina and Carmel, please just send it through to me and I will pass them on. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Great. Thanks, Linda.
Bye.